Okay, we are recording now. I started talking and realized I had not hit the record button. So this is Amanda Hurst, our now officially Wednesday weekly Zoom, since my Wednesdays are free. And we're going to be talking tonight about reevaluating kind of like your game, like sort of like a halftime mid-season review, and talking about what's working, what's not working, how to take a step back and sort of shake it off and move forward, which I was saying before I didn't hit the record button, couldn't come at a more perfect time, I feel like, at least for me personally. And I kind of feel like I totally think, and I don't mean this in like a toot my own horn kind of way at all, but there's that phrase, the something of the leader sets the pace of the pack or whatever. So I'm by no means in charge of anybody else's success, but I know that when I'm having an off month, it kind of trickles down through our team. It's sort of like our team is having an off month. And so I feel like when I was listening to this in my class yesterday, it's like this topic could not come at a more perfect time. And they gave some really tangible, great things to look about and think about and really reflect on, that it got me really fired up last night. And so I want to share them with you. So they started it out with this quote, and we're not going to hang out here too long, but I just want you to really think about the phrasing of this, and we're going to just chat a little bit about it. But he was saying, sometimes when we feel that our objectives are out of our reach, we quit. Right? If you feel like this is out of my reach, this is what I want, but I can't attain this, our instinct is to quit because we can't get there anyways. So when we feel that our objectives are out of reach, we quit. But what we need to do instead is change our objectives. So I'm not saying play smaller or minimize your goal or give yourself less credit for what you're capable of. What I am saying is set a different goal. So say you're like driving down the road, right? And you're in your car and you realize like, oh my gosh, I am not going to get to my destination. I'm just not going to get there. I'm just going to turn around and go home. Don't turn around and go home. Don't slow down. Take a different freeway, take a different highway and go to a new destination. So for example, if your objective is so here's for me, my objective for the end of this month would be to go Director 2. I would love for our team to get another 20,000 in volume to make that happen. However, that I'm just not feeling like that is an objective that I want to put on myself right now. Instead, changing my objectives would be, I want to help at least 4 people promote to gold. Okay. And that's still not 20,000 in volume. So it's not like I'm trying to just trick my brain into getting the same outcome. I want to have a different outcome. That's still something that is actually my goal. So I can feel at the end of the month, and hear this, not a goal that you're setting for yourself because it's easy. Like say like you hit bronze, like you're normally like bronze every month or something. Hey Amber, what's up, girl? Say you're normally like you hit bronze every month and your goal is to go silver. You're like, okay, so I'm actually going to make my goal bronze. Okay. Don't do something that you know you're going to get just to get it. Okay. But set a different type of goal that you still will be just as excited about, that isn't just tricking your brain into being the same thing. Like, for example, silver is 1,000 in volume, right? So don't be like, all right, my objective was silver, but now instead I'll change my objective to signing 10 lean body system customers. I mean, that in your brain still sees that as 1,000. If it didn't think you could do it before, you're just trying to wordplay yourself to death. Have a different objective. Say, I want to help 5 people or maybe it's, I want to ATM 25 people. I guarantee you, if you actually go through the ad and tag and message follow-up of those people, you're going to get some customers after 25 ATMs or whatever your number is. Okay. For you, it might be 50, 100. Don't let me limit you. But do you see how it's a completely different objective, but it's still moving you forward than you were the month before. So if you feel like what objective you have right now is out of your reach, instead of quitting or instead of tricking your brain so you still feel like you're working towards that goal. And a lot of leaders might not tell you this. They might say like, no, just say, break it down to 10 lean body systems, right? I do that all the time. I know I say that all the time, but this framed it so much more differently for me. Instead of tricking your brain, make a completely different objective that you still feel like is moving you forward. Not like this is your objective here, so you're going to go down here instead. You're still here, but just something else. Something else that gives you the same feeling of accomplishment that the other objective would have given you. But what's a creative, different way that you can go about making that happen? I'm kind of beat that to death. I said we weren't going to talk about that for a very long time, but look at me. I did for like 6 minutes. Okay. So they say there are 4 ways that you can play better at your game. Okay, so the school that I go to is called Coach Phil. It's all talking about life as a game and game plan and timeout and halftime and skills and captains and players. So my jargon might be spilling over a little bit. So 4 different ways that you can play better. All right, so the first one is refining your skills. Okay, we can play better by having greater skills. So that means I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm probably 10 videos behind in M Life Nation of all the incredible resources that John Melton brings us. I maybe get to 1 or 2 a week personally. Okay. Now granted, if I was in the car or driving or commuting somewhere, that's when I used to really catch up on videos. So that might be a little different. I can't like just sit still. I have to be whatever, but that could be a way to improve your skills. I think the reason that he does that is because that way they're kind of stockpiled for us to come back to and watch anytime or on a specific topic. So don't feel like you have to be live for every single video or you're not a good marketer. All right. It's a resource that we get to tap into. So that's a way to refine your skills, is take advantage of the umpteen bajillion leaders that John Melton connects us with, right? This is kind of cool. Last week in my coaching class, we worked on role play in coaching, meaning we role play with the player and say, okay, what your goal is to sign up more customers. Okay, I'm going to be your customer. Sell to me. And it's kind of scary. It's a little funny and outside of your comfort zone, but oh my gosh, if I didn't tell you how many breakthroughs we had in that class as we were practicing with each other. So find a friend, find somebody in our Wolfpack group, or like, hey, anybody want to practice follow-up? Or hey, anybody want to practice ATM? And just talk to someone how you would talk to a customer, and a marketer is going to say, I think that sounded awesome. Or they might, and this is where it's going to help you as the practice customer, and it's going to help you as a marketer. Because if you're the practice customer, you're helping somebody else to sort of help them tweak their verbiage, but also you're learning new ideas for yourself based on what they're doing. So find a buddy. And it's weird at first. The concept is weird, but actually I cannot tell you how beneficial it was for me last week when I was practicing that with someone else. I actually had I made a connection with someone in the class, and we had a separate, last week we got together on the phone just to do more role playing again, because it was so helpful for us. So that's a really great way to refine your skills. Think about what skills you want to fine tune, and what are some ways that you can become more proficient at them. So the second one, so the first way to play better is your skills. The second way is your plan, okay? Refining your plan. So maybe that is planning out a schedule. Maybe that's time blocking. That's planning when specifically you're going to allot time for your business, okay? Maybe it's planning someone to, I used to do this when I was with It Works with Jordan. Maybe it's planning someone to watch your kid for an hour so that you can, get on a call or catch up on stuff or send some message. I don't know. Maybe it's planning something for your kids so you can work. Maybe it's planning, schedule time blocking to do, maybe it's making a to-do list, right? So maybe it's saying, okay, my plan is to do X, Y, and Z, and actually utilizing that to-do list. All right, so refining our plan. It's pretty cut and dry. Okay, the last 2 are a little woo. They're a little subjective. So the third thing I said is your inner game needs to be refined. So your inner self. So your confidence, your motivation, your self-development. Okay, you've got to refine what you're telling yourself up here. If you're telling yourself, I can't do this, I'm not going to be good at this, this live is going to suck, this person's not going to want this, so-and-so is going to think I'm crazy, you have to refine that. You absolutely have to. You've got to be so excited. This live video is going to make me so much better for the future. This person is going to love the trim as much as I do. I have been plugging in and working hard at my business for so long. I know that I know what to do. I just have to do it. Telling yourself the good things and refining your inner voice. So that might mean just, I mean, you guys, it's so easy to do self-development. Google Tony Robbins or Oprah or Gary Vee or Eric Worre, or I mean, like, heck, you can probably look up John Melton on YouTube. You can look up Ray Higdon. Like they, I'm sure they have a ton of motivational videos. I mean, obviously Tony Robbins is another great one. TED Talks. Search TED Talk confidence, TED Talk fear of rejection, TED Talk motivation. I mean, you could get caught down a rabbit hole of TED Talks. I have done it before. So you got to really refine your inner self. And the one thing he did mention is that all 4 of these things have to be in check for your game to be refined. And so you can't like have all of this incredible skill set without a plan to apply them. You cannot have a master plan without actually believing that it's going to happen, right? You've got to have all 4 of these things. So skills, plan, inner game. The 4th one is expanding. This is their phrase, expanding your world power. And this is not like taking over a country or overthrowing a dictator. Okay. So like expanding your world power, like growing your network, growing your visibility, growing your influence, growing your connections, your relatability, your vulnerability. All right. So this is basically connecting in the world. And again, this is so funny because this is not the coaching class that I do has nothing to do with network marketing. But they're saying, you know, the 4th thing for anyone, whether maybe their game is like personal life, or they're a CEO of a company, like, and everyone has to do this, whether you're a network marketer or not, your visibility, vulnerability, and connections out in the world. So obviously there's a ton of things that can apply to us as network marketers. Hello, networking, you know, really making some connections, whether it's online, whether it's in person, whether it's asking your customers for referrals. That's one piece of like making those connections and networking. But a huge piece of it that also comes with our inner self is our vulnerability and our visibility, right? It's just being genuine and #authentic you, right? And whether that means that you're sharing it on social media, or whether that means that you are doing that in your everyday life, maybe your business is more belly to belly than it is social media. But you've got to be out there and be yourself, and you just got to throw yourself into it. Be transparent, be honest, be real, but have there be a light at the end of that tunnel, right? We want to be honest, but inspiring. I think that a lot of times people think that they have to talk about all the bad in their life for somebody to relate to them. And that's not totally the case. However, if you are going to talk about the bad, you've got to put the maraschino cherry on top. So you're not a Debbie Downer, right? Not just for your business, but in general. Okay. But, so share about your, I don't want it to be too heavy on it, but like, I'm just using this as an example. Share about your miscarriage and talk. I mean, that's hard and that's difficult, but you know what? Sometimes the things that are the most hard and the most difficult truly bring us the best results. Oh no, I'm frozen. Am I still frozen? No. Okay. Was my voice video frozen?
The last thing I heard you say was something about being a Debbie Downer.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So, so a lot of people assume that if you have to be a Debbie Downer on Facebook and talk about how marriage sucks and kids suck and life sucks and this and that's being real. It is being real, but you've got to put the cherry on top and have it be the light at the end of the tunnel. So the example I was giving when I guess I was frozen was like a very raw and vulnerable post is talking about having a miscarriage. Okay. And I'm not saying that go run out and tell your deepest, darkest secret on Facebook, but I'm just using this as an example. Okay. That is a really raw, emotional, awful time in somebody's life. However, by sharing that, you are going to not even having to do with business, you're going to really connect to someone who needs to hear your voice because you have a story. Okay. It's going to make people realize that you have their best interest in mind, is in terms of like, you're a human. You're not a car salesman or a billboard. You're real and you're on here to connect and share and be open. And if they can feel like you're open about your everyday life, they're going to trust you so much more when it does come to your business. So I'm like, again, I'm not saying go on and share a deep, darkest secret, whatever you're comfortable with. I overshare on Facebook. I talked about hemorrhoids the other night on my Facebook Live. Okay. Like there's no filter here. But I get comments all the time from people. Like I went to my high school reunion the other 2 weekends ago, and people I haven't talked to in forever that I don't know even watch me on Facebook because I never like or comment anything, came up to me like, oh my gosh, Amanda, seriously, your Facebook, like I love hearing what you have to say. I love seeing your post, like your post about, like I was talking about my like negative pregnancy tests or whatever. She's like, that made me cry. This is a chick I don't even really barely remember. Okay. So it just, you make an impact on someone that you don't even realize. It's a ripple effect that's going to not only help them personally, but it is in turn going to grow your business and you're being your true self. So that I could go off on a tangent on authenticity on social media, but that's talking about expanding your world power and your connections in the world. So I'm doing good for time. Okay. So we 4 skills or 4 ways to play better: skills, plan, inner self, and expanding your connections. So this was a really interesting exercise that they had us do, is talking about we need to find a way to have a better use of our unique self. We need to have a better use of our unique self. And what I mean by that is, especially in this industry, we are taught duplication, right? How to do things. Make this post, send this script, do X, Y, and Z live video, post this, and this time of day. And now granted, we don't send scripts and cold messages and stuff like that in like this particular company, but you know what I mean? They tell you there's a way to duplicate, like just follow the system. And I'm not saying don't follow the system, but you have to use your own. You are uniquely you for a reason. And there are things that Terry can do that I cannot do, that Rena can do, I can't do, Kate, Naomi, Amber can do that I can't do, and vice versa. So what they had us do was think about what our unique self, what that means, like what that, and a good way to say that is, what are your strengths? What are the things that you are really good at? So write those down. You can put them in the chat if you want to, or write them down. What are some things that you are really good at? Like, what's your strength? And while you're thinking and writing, when I was having my practice session, I said that for me, it is openness. We were just talking about that. Friendliness and basically outgoing, like being extroverted, like I'm not shy. And that was the first thing that came to my mind. And then, so she was like, okay, what else? And I was like, no, I just told you 3 things. She's like, I didn't ask you for 3. And I was like, okay. She's like, what else? And she's like, we're not going to move on until you tell me another strength that you have. And it was really cool to hear it that way, because I immediately listed off what my strengths were. And then I was like, that's it. And she was like, no, you have to think of one more thing, at least one more thing. And it was really cool that I was just kind of, I think what I ended up saying was that I'm a good writer. Like I can craft posts and emails and things like that. And I'm a good writer. But I never would have said that. I would never say that as a strength of mine if someone just asked me outright, but she probed me for more. So I want you wrote down your first thing. I want you to write down one more thing that you wouldn't have thought to write down on your first one. What's another strength that you have? And not only is this going to help you with being creative and utilizing that, but it just gives you a little warm fuzzy too, because I got off my practice call feeling like I am so much more capable of this than I realized. And it was incredible. So if anybody wants to share what yours are, you're welcome to add them in the chat. But the next thing to ask yourself is, how can you be creative with using those strengths in your business, right? So how can you be creative using those strengths in your business? And it takes a while to think about that. Like a lot of these questions are very thought-provoking. And if I was to go through the whole session guide of this one, it's like bomb, light bulb, ding, firework. I mean, it's just a lot of great stuff. So it's thought-provoking questions. So it's not some big revelation that you're going to like instantly have right this second. But look at those strengths that you have and keep writing down more. Like there is not a limit to, and that's what makes up your unique self. And there is a way that Terry can run a business and have different strengths than John Melton has, right? Like it's just a different, unique self. And so I think sometimes we think about our strengths and weaknesses, or when we're comparing ourselves to someone else, we instantly we go to, well, I'm going to attract different people than them. And we're thinking about what we're attracting. But really, we need to think about what we're capable of giving, right? Why we're different from someone else, not by who we're attracting, but by what we're giving and what we're doing. And how can you use those creative strengths to be creative or use those strengths to be creative in your business? And just an example that came up for me was I was talking about being really outgoing and fun and friendly and social and whatever. And it kind of made me have the idea, like, I know that we don't do parties in this company. I was like, maybe I need to have like a little social. I've not once had a party with this company at all. I've done 2 or 3 vendor events that were duds, frankly. I mean, I made some friends on Facebook, but so I didn't sell, and but I was like, maybe that's a creative way to do something different. I'm not saying go out and have a party, but I'm just using this as an example. I would never have thought I need to have a Modere party. And that's still a baby thought in my head that happened last night on this call. But do you see, like, that was my creative thought of how can I use these strengths to be productive in my business? Maybe it's, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to put any words in anyone's mouth, because the idea is for you to come up with it organically and figure out a way. There is a way that your strength can be a creative use in your business. So that's the notes I have. Let me make sure there's no other notes from my actual class. Oh, okay. This came up as we were talking about strengths, and I don't know if it necessarily is like, anyways, I'll share it with you. But they were saying so they really focus on kind of like the industrial age mindset and how we are the people, our generation is the way that it is today because we were always told to basically go to work or, go to school, go to college, get a job, start a family, have kids, have grandkids, retire. There's a right and a wrong way to do things. If you're not working, then you're not providing homework and assignments and accountability and like strict structure. And they call that kind of coming from the industrial age. Like, and when they say industrial age, meaning like, okay, people used to work in factories all the time, right? People still work in factories. It's not what I mean, but like, that's used to be like the only job people would have. You were a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, or you worked at a factory. And so they had a guy, they did the same thing every day over and over. There was no gray area. You made it right or you made it wrong. And it went, down the assembly line, you just were kind of like, doing your thing. And that was your only option. And so that kind of has trained our livelihood and generations from that to feel like there's a right and a wrong way. And there's no sort of gray area. And so I think that we fall into that trap sometimes too, because we're playing copycat, right? We're following the leader and we don't really recognize that I'm going to get creative with how I'm going to do this. And anyways, the whole point of saying that is someone said something in our class, like, talking about their strengths, and they were like, well, I don't want to toot my own horn, but blah, 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 blah. And the coach said, that's such an industrial age mindset to feel like you have to preface saying something nice about yourself with you're being conceited or cocky or tooting your own horn, that we should absolutely be able to say, I am really good at X, Y, and Z. I know that I'm good at that. I think, and I'm actually going to do a live video about this week, that having confidence and calling yourself a badass and loving yourself so much, that's not being cocky, or that's not being bad unless it's directly hurting someone else. By saying that you are a rock star at math, I don't know, by saying you're a rock star at math, it doesn't mean that I'm saying, Amber, you suck at math. I'm the rock star at math. Okay. You're just basically saying amazing things about yourself. And why do we feel like we can't do that? You're not bringing anybody else down by saying great things about yourself. It's because our whole industrial age, everyone thinks that way. Everyone feels like if you say nice things about yourself to somebody else, you're conceited. So even though in our heads, we know that's not true, we know that someone else is thinking that it is. And we all need to start talking ourselves up. And yes. So, that was just the last note I had from my class. So I hope that this helps you guys. I want to definitely open up if you guys have any questions about anything before we're done, but I wanted to remind you too, because this is again, another thing this month that I just have been totally slacking on. We still have 8 days, the rest of tonight, T-minus 8 days until the end of this month and that contest is over. No, I'm sorry. Wait, we have more than that. We have 7, 8, 9. So T-minus 8 days, I guess, isn't it? Whatever. Next Friday is the last day of the month. And I have that awesome contest for you guys. I actually went out this weekend and I bought, that's what kind of prompted me like trying to get back on my horse and everything, is I've got a lot of cute little, like, I'm putting this pretty sweet basket of stuff together. So if you win and I have to mail it to you, it won't look as pretty as I'll probably put it together on my desk. But anyway, so I just want that to be a fun thing, but also a way to get us engaged with each other and cheer each other on. So I'm going to start, and I said I was going to do this at the beginning of the month, and I didn't do it. At the end of every day, I'm going to say how many points that I've gotten that day and hold myself accountable. Industrial age is accountable, whatever. It's what I need. And share it, kind of what points I've gotten that day. And I hope that you guys take it and make it a fun thing. It's nothing like earth shattering. It's like, nothing huge, major, awesome thing, but it's definitely a lot of cute, awesome kind of personalized stuff. So, so that will be fun. So don't forget about that. And I think if we all can kind of, obviously you guys that are here and on the calls and connecting and plugging in, I consider that to be leaders. To me, if you get on calls, you're a leader. And if we can just kind of encourage and help other people to feel connected and excited and sort of feeding off our energy and just kind of checking on our friends and, hey, let's do this, I'm so excited. I think it will just help the cohesiveness, and it'll kind of feed back on that energy for all of us. So that's all I've got for you tonight. But it just, to me, it's a lot to think about later. And I hope that you guys take this and don't just write it down and close the notebook, but really, really think about these things. Because you could spend we could spend a whole hour talking about skills and plan and inner self and world powers and objectives and strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. So to cram it into this, I just wanted to at least get you, start the conversation and get you thinking about it so that you can really reflect on that. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to share or add or anything like that before we wrap up? Be shy. Okay. No worries. All right. I just wanted to give anyone a chance to ask or say something that wanted to. So short and sweet tonight, but I knew I wanted to have a Zoom tonight, and after that class last night, I was like, I'm just taking these notes from this notebook to my Zoom notebook because this is too good, and I really need to reflect on that. So, so if you need any help with how this is the skill I want to improve, how do I do that? I need help with this planning, whatever, let's seriously drop them in our chat. And if I can't get to it right away, that's why we have this, is because we all have unique strengths, right? So if someone's like, how do I organize my customers? I'll be like, at Terry Tweedle Edwards, how does Rena organize her customers? Just kidding. Just kidding. But so I think it's just really fun to for us all to just connect with each other and know that we're not in this alone and we have each other's back. So as we're going through the last week and a half or so of the month, just kind of be there to cheerlead for each other. So, all right. I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome night. And yeah, thanks for being on here with me and hanging out with me. Good night, everybody.